So how about hitting the newsletter? So I want to talk about the newsletter and recognition and appreciation in regards to the newsletter. So you recognize people for their performance, not their results. So Garrett can come up to the front of the room. This is a team meeting. So whether it's team meeting or let's just say it's a phone jam, you can be like, everybody stop. Okay, no, but you're getting a demo, so stay on. All right, hey guys, this is Garrett. I want to recognize Garrett for hitting the newsletter this week, and I have to recognize him because he had $1,000 in sales, but that's all you see on paper. But what you don't see is the effort that it took to get there. And Garrett showed a lot of guts this week because he was working his tail off Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He worked for 6 days, and he had such a tough week. He was making a ton of phone calls with really terrible luck. He was doing demos, a couple small sales. He sold a couple trimmers, couple peelers. They're great products, but he wasn't selling any sets. And he was just busting his butt, putting in so much effort, but he just didn't get the results. But you know what? What I'm so proud of Garrett is he didn't give up. On Monday, on Miracle Monday, he set up 5 demos, he had 3 sales, and he had an $800 day, which put him over the newsletter. Now, if Garrett gave up on himself and he didn't push hard to the end, he wouldn't have hit the newsletter, and he wouldn't be standing up in front of the team meeting right now. But the reason why he's standing up is because he didn't give up. He pushed through the end, and champions know that you do not give up until the buzzer goes off at the end of the game. And that's why I'm so proud of you for hitting the newsletter. Congratulations. Let's give Garrett a huge round of applause. So what that does is it makes sure that Garrett will never give up on himself. He will always crush Mondays. So now it's permanent that he's going to be the Miracle Monday guy. And then it tells everybody else in the team who got off to a slow start for the week, do not give up, push hard, and make sure that you go until the end of the week and never give yourself an excuse to peter out and not hit the newsletter. You can do the same thing for field training. So I can say, hey, I want to recognize Ben. Ben hit the newsletter this week. He sold his first signature set, really fired up for his signature set. But the reason he sold his signature set is because he went on a field training with Logan right before. It was so funny because he went on a field training and he came in for a PC and he said, Drew, I haven't sold a lot of sets. I'm not very good with sets. I really want to learn about sets. Can you teach me about sets? And I said, of course I can teach you about sets. And so he went on a field training with Logan, and Logan showed him his demo. And by the way, Logan didn't even sell a set. Logan sold a couple pieces, but because he learned how to close the right way and drop down the right way, Ben learned some incredible skills, popped his signature set on his next demo, and that's the power of field training. So I want everyone to take some advice from Ben, take a page out of his success book, go on a field training immediately because you're going to learn a ton. And you can go on a field training with somebody higher in sales, lower in sales. You can learn something from anybody, and that's the reason why you sold your first signature set. That's the reason why you hit the newsletter. And then you give him a big round of applause and everybody goes nuts. So what it does is it reinforces for Ben that he's going to continue going on field trainings. It's going to reinforce for Logan that he's going to continue taking people on field trainings, and it's going to tell everybody else in the room, I need to get in this field training program. Does that make sense? So you recognize people for performance, not for their results. So everything is performance-based. Okay, and keeping it simple too. Follow the manual, cut food, have fun. I love recognizing people for little things like, hey, this person hit the newsletter because they cut 7 pineapples this week in their demos. I want to recognize this person because they had more fun on their presentations than anybody else. So the simple things reinforcing those things. So feel good is about recognition and appreciation. Okay, so what are the things? How else can we recognize and appreciate people? Maybe it's for promotions. Maybe it's for, I'm so excited because you're only, this far away from your next promotion. For every rep, you should know their sales more than they know their sales. You should know to the dollar how far away they are from their next promotion. And you should be a walking, talking testimonial for their future. You are basically their infomercial. All right, so think about if you were an infomercial, how would you talk about that person? How would you talk to them? And you're inspiring, you're motivating. You're like the Tony Robbins in their ear all the time. Like, you can do it. You're only, $1,200 away from your 3K promotion. I can't wait for you to. Do you realize that that's only 8 demos? On average, that's 8 demos away. So as soon as you line up 8 demos, you pretty much already guaranteed yourself your next promotion. So you're always talking about what's next, whether it's an event or whether it's a promotion or whether it's, talking at a team meeting or just excited to see them at the office. So promoting, recognizing, making people feel good. The only way that people will create action is if they feel good first. That's step number 1. So teach through recognition. talking about demos, field training, Miracle Monday, phoning from the office. Man, there's such a great culture of phoning from the office in the South Denver organization because we recognize the heck out of it. You know, Scott Lilly, one of our assistant managers, last summer he was at the office every single day. He just loved being at the office. And Scott sold $20,000 in basically a month. It was like 5 weeks, sold 20 grand and made $5,000 in income. And I talk about that all the time, and I say the reason why Scott was able to sell so much in such a short period of time was because he was at the office every single day. He never left. It was like he lived there. We had a cot in the other room for him. And but the more I talk about that, the more other reps will say, I want to be like who? Scott. And what are they going to do? They're going to come to the office and phone. You know, things like 5 before, 5 after. Is anybody who's familiar with the concept of 5 before, 5 after? Okay, so you can't just teach it once. We said everything has to be taught at least how many times? 3 times, but for 5 before, 5 after, it should be like 3 times a day. So 5 before, 5 after, if you make 5 phone calls before every demo and 5 phone calls after every demo, that's 10 phone calls per demo. Now, 10 phone calls on average is going to create 1 appointment. Sometimes none, sometimes 5 or 6, but on average it's going to create 1 appointment. So if every demo you do creates 1 more, then your schedule replicates itself. You never have to sit down for hours and hours and hours and hours and do phone calls because your demo schedule is already set and it just creates itself. So when you first start, or if it's a push week, you need to sit down and make hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of phone calls. Phone calls are not inherently fun. Sometimes they suck, but you've got to do it. It's part of the business. But once your schedule is set and you really implement 5 before, 5 after, then your business takes on a life of its own. So I recognize, and one of the examples that I give is DeAndrea Beckman. So, and I say this in training, I say this to reps, I say it at team meetings all the time. And she doesn't even work with us anymore. This was even a couple of years ago, but I still use her example. So I teach 5 before and 5 after. And I said, you know who I really respect is DeAndrea Beckman, because DeAndrea Beckman, she said, Drew, I'm an overachiever. I overachieve in everything in my life. And I assume that you guys are Vector people, so I assume that you overachieve in everything that you do in your life as well, whether it's sports or school or relationships or whatever. You guys are probably the best at what you do. So in Vector, DeAndrea said, I'm an overachiever. I need to do more than the average. So she said, I'm going to make 7 calls before and 7 phone calls after. And I said, okay, great. Let's see how that works out. I said, by the way, what's your goal for the week? She said, I don't know. I don't really have a goal. I'm just here because of the experience. I want to build my resume, but we'll see how it goes. So DeAndrea set up 20 appointments in her first weekend. She did 7 calls before and 7 calls after every demo. And then by the end of the weekend, I said to DeAndrea, hey, congratulations. You just sold $4 grand this weekend. What's your goal for how many demos you want for this week? And she said, I don't know, but I have 20 demos in my schedule. Because she was doing 7 before, 7 after, every demo she had replicated itself, and she had 20 demos between Tuesday and Friday. And then by Friday, I said, hey, DeAndrea, great job. Congratulations. You're at 8K in your fast start. What's your goal for the weekend? And she said, I don't know, but I have 20 demos lined up for the weekend. And then she ended up selling over $10,000 in her fast start. She won the limo trip, made $2,000 in income, and she's at Dirty 30. So now she has the ability to work a part-time job and make full-time income, or work a full-time schedule and make ridiculous baller income. But then I said to DeAndrea at the end of her fast start, I said, okay, now that your fast start's over, let's talk about what your goals are for this upcoming week. And she said, I don't know, but I have 20 demos lined up. So she did that through the entire summer. She ended up selling $30,000 for the summer, making nearly $10,000 in income in about 2.5 months. And she was only able to do that because she was making 7 calls before and after each demo. Now, you don't have to make 7 calls before and after every demo, but you have to make at least how many? Do you think everybody in the group is sold on making calls before and after every demo now? Absolutely. But you have to repeat that every day. It's all about repetition. So on PDI, what do you have to do? Remind them, did you make your what? 5 before, 5 after. So what Jake does is when a rep calls from a demo, he said, did you make your 5 phone calls yet? And if they say no, he said, okay, make your 5 phone calls real quick and then call me right back and tell me about your demo. But it reinforces that skill set. So every demo absolutely must have 5 calls before and after every demo. That should be a standard rule in your organization. And if it does, I promise you, sales will go through the roof and you'll create a lot of newsletter reps. So that's about teaching through recognition. Also, attitude is everything. Attitude is everything. Your biggest sales come after your what? After no sales. Your biggest sales come after no sales. Anybody ever experienced that? You have a no sale and you crush on the next one? But what if you had a crappy attitude? Do you think you would have had that big sale? No, as soon as a demo is over, it's done. Whether it's a no sale or whether it's an ultimate set, it's in the past. As soon as you leave that customer's house, it's already done. So we don't want reps to be bummed and pissed if they have a no sale, but at the same time, we don't want them to be overconfident and think that they are God's gift to the Cutco world if they have a big sale. So when somebody sells a homemaker, I say, hey, congratulations, when's your next demo? Because I don't want them to say, oh, I'm the greatest, let me take it easy for the rest of the day because I've achieved something. No, you haven't. You sold a set of knives. I mean, you're not that good. So it's all about, teaching. Attitude is everything. So, when somebody has a no sale, we say, congratulations. We get just as fired up for no sales as we do for sales. You had a no sale? Awesome. Hey, you got it out of the way. You know what that means? Based on the averages, you're going to have a huge sale on the next demo. You have to. Like, very rarely do you have 2 no sales in a row. That would be weird, wouldn't it? Like, if more than 50% of people buy, wouldn't it be strange to have 2 no sales in a row? So you got that one out of the way. Your next demo is definitely going to be a sale. What do you think you're going to sell? And you immediately go on to that next demo. So it's all about positive attitude and your influence on them. Okay, so feeling good is about recognition and appreciation.